Okay, we are live. Baruch Hashem. Wow, we've done a full week of 30 letters in 30 days. Our first class was last Motzei Shabbos, and now it's Motzei Shabbos again. So we've wrapped around the full cycle, 7-day cycle of creation, and now we're in the second week. Amazing. And we thank everybody for joining us. It's very meaningful. All the people who join us live, all the people who watch on replay. Of course, live is on YouTube. Replays are on SoulWords.org, as well as all your favorite podcast platforms. And we'll do what we always do at the beginning of class. Remember, 30 letters in 30 days is a birthday present for Yud Aleph Nissan, the Rebbe's birthday. And the Rebbe asked for gifts of Torah, also gifts of tzedakah. So tzedakah, we give over here. We like to use the Kol Chabad Pushka app because we like Kol Chabad and because it's fun. Where's my app? Okay, here. And I earned a token. You can use tokens to recover missed days. Oh, because there's like a gamification of it. We have to have like a streak. Oh, I earned a token because of my tzedakah streak, 7 days in a row. Okay. That's cool. All right, I'm going to give a little more. Somebody commented on the live chat sometime last week that when we give tzedakah the Kol Chabad Pushka app, that's their favorite part of the whole class. It is fun, yes. Okay. I got to get some WD-40 for that chair. It's one of those fancy, expensive chairs. It was supposed to help my back. I don't know how much it did. I'm going to make a bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niyeh b'dvarei. Coffee. You're supposed to drink hot water. New hot water on Motzei Shabbos. One of those Jewish things. Okay. Just typing into the chat. Okay. Want to learn a letter? And you can look at the letter in the, you can go to the description, and then you click on PDF of the letter, and it'll pull it right up. We called it Less Self-Analysis, More Action. That's just the title we gave it. It's from Igros Kodesh, Chelek Yud Beis, Volume 12. All of the letters this year are from Volume 12. Letter 3924. Okay. Baruch Shem Gimel Kislev, Tavshin Tez Zion, Brooklyn, Shalom Avrocha. We had a letter Thursday night. One of our two letters was to a yeshiva bacher. Yeah, you remember that? This is also to a yeshiva bacher. It blows my mind that the Lubavitcher Rebbe, with everything that he was dealing with, is responding to kids. I mean, let's just say it how it is. Like some kid in yeshiva is writing to the Rebbe with his personal issues, and the Rebbe is responding thoughtfully. It's just amazing. Okay. And now we all get to benefit. I don't know why it says ksavai. I think it should say michtavai. I think it's missing a mem at the beginning. Mishile Tishrei bi'ita yagiel yadi. Your letter from the end of Tishrei reached me in due time. Seems like there's a lag. I'm just guessing it's possible he was writing from Eretz Yisrael, and that was, took time for the letter to get there. I don't know. V'hine afilo im timtza leimer shetzadik b'chol ha'inyanim shekesav eidesam v'gam bibiuram. Even if we were to say that you are correct in what you've written and your interpretation of the facts, I just want to stop a second and point this out. even if we were to say you're correct regarding what you wrote, the inyonim, that means, I guess, the facts, and biuram means and their explanations or their interpretations. In other words, there's two different concepts here. The Rebbe is saying, okay, let's say that the facts that you've reported are accurate, and let's say your explanation / interpretation of the facts are also accurate. Okay. I don't know if this comes across clearly if you're not familiar with the expression im timtzalema, but it's an expression that's used in Talmudic study all the time to say, even if I will grant your argument, meaning even if I will not refute the premise of your argument, however, parenthetically, I'm not 100% agreeing with your argument. I'm just saying I don't even have to disagree with your premise. I can even grant you your premise and still disagree with you, with your conclusion. Okay, so that's, I might be like reading too much into it, but that's basically what it means. In other words, the Rebbe is saying, I'm not 100% sure that even the facts are exactly the way you've reported them and your interpretation of the facts, because that's a separate thing, the facts and your interpretation of the facts. But even if I were to give you that, your conclusion is off. Okay, let me read the next words. Your conclusion, which is, and the Rebbe says it clearly, your, call it despondent mood, and your feeling of hopelessness, mushlalis mufreches legamre, is totally incorrect. Okay, you following this? I don't know exactly what this bacher wrote, but clearly his conclusion was that he's down on himself. If you'll read further in the letter, it has to do with his avodah, with his spiritual growth. He felt that he was not doing well in his spiritual growth. So the Rebbe is saying to him, let's say that the facts are like you reported. Let's say your interpretation of the facts are as you reported. But your bottom line, the conclusion that you come to as a result of the facts and the interpretation of the facts, that's for sure incorrect. What bottom line? The bottom line that you're feeling bad about yourself. Okay. Why is that incorrect? Why is the conclusion incorrect? Let's read on. Now, okay, the way I'm reading this is, and especially when the above mentioned is not correct, meaning you could read that your conclusion, va'al derech hamavur, in line with what is explained, and the Rebbe then gives several sources in Chassidus. The first one, for whatever reason, I'm not sure, is not cited, meaning the source is not cited. The Rebbe uses what is an obvious quote from Tanya. It's Perek Chof Ches of Tanya, Likutei Amorim Chelek Aleph Tanya. But the Rebbe does not cite the source, but it's a direct quote. I mean, you can even tell it's a quote because the Rebbe says v'chulu. V'chulu means etc. There's the rest of the quote. Context. Okay. Perek Chof Ches of Tanya. You can see behind me the Tanya map. Well, let me look here. Get ready for the squeaky chair. Here's Chof Ches right here. It says, ignoring sinful thoughts while engaged in divine service. If plagued by foreign thoughts while engaged in divine service, which means davening, ignore them. It is precisely because the godly soul is now active that the animal soul resists. Squeaky chair. Okay. The context there is the Alter Rebbe, since Perek Chavav is dealing with different sources of depression, one source of depression could be that a person feels bad that when he goes to daven, he is beset with all types of distracting thoughts. So the Alter Rebbe tells him, you're wrong to be upset, because the truth is you think that it's a sign that your davening is worthless. To the contrary, it's a sign that your davening is working. Why? Because that's the nature of people who battle, that when one pushes, the other pushes back. So the fact that dafka, when you're davening, all of a sudden you have machshava zoros, stray thoughts, that's actually a healthy sign that your davening is working and that your nefesh habahamis is feeling threatened and therefore it's resisting. The people who think that it's a sign that having stray thoughts is a sign that their davening is worthless would be correct if it were one soul, the same soul, one and the same soul that davens and one and the same soul that thinks those stray thoughts. Then you'd be right, because look at that soul. What kind of a weird mixed up soul is it? However, that is not the case. It is actually two distinct souls, one that is davening and the other that's bringing in the stray thoughts, and they're pushing on each other. And of course, when one pushes, the other pushes back. Okay, basic Tanya. That's the first source that Rebbe brings. And as I said, clearly Perek Chav Ches of Tanya, but the Rebbe doesn't cite the source. Urei Gam Kain, also see Igros Kodesh Seif Siman Chav Hei. See the end of letter 25 from Igros Kodesh. That's a long letter, complicated letter, but at the end it speaks about the idea of the Shechina manifesting itself in Klippa, as it's specifically in the form of a wicked heathen, that's how it's translated in the English Tanya, who tries to distract someone while they're davening. From this, by the way, it does seem that the Bacher's complaint had to do with not being able to concentrate while he's davening, just because that's what it's talking about in Chav Ches of Likutei Moharan. That's what it's talking about in Chav Hei of Igros. Well, the whole. Okay, Perek Chav Ches of Likutei Moharan is all about focusing while you're davening and not feeling bad if you get distracted, for the above mentioned explanation. Chav Hei of Igros Kodesh is about a lot of different things. Like I said, it's a long letter and it covers a lot. But at the end over there, that section does say that when you are experiencing, if you were to experience this distraction, you should understand that really it's Hashem acting through this agent, this emissary, and really it's only for your benefit so that you'll ignore it and daven harder, but don't engage with it. Similar themes as to what's described in Chav Ches of Likutei Moharan. Okay. And also, the Rebbe says, Torah Or, Dibra Maschel Shira Malois V'Gomer. Okay, so that's a mimer of the Alter Rebbe in Torah Or. Shira Malois, B'Shuv Hashem, right? We said that before mentioning on Shabbos and Yom Tov, on days when we don't say Tachnun. That when Mashiach comes, we will have been as dreamers. And the Alter Rebbe explains, why will we say that our experience of Gullus was dreamlike? Why will we, after the Geula comes, why will we look back and say that our experience while we were in Gullus was dreamlike? So the Alter Rebbe proceeds to explain that in a dream you can have opposites that don't make sense coexisting. Things that can't happen in real life. And you wouldn't even think of them, I mean, unless somebody challenged you specifically to think of bizarre things that are non sequiturs. But you wouldn't even think of these things while you're awake. But when you're dreaming, it's just it's par for the course. It's a regular occurrence in a dream. And the reason is the Alter Rebbe actually describes the mechanics of it. And this is all a mushal. It's not, the mimer is not about dreams. The mimer is about Gullus and Geula, but the dreams are the mushal here. That what happens is that the koyach hamadama, the imaginative power, becomes divorced from seichel, from logic, which normally limits what you're going to imagine, and therefore you can imagine things that make no sense logically. At any rate, so what's the nimshal? Meaning, the metaphor is to describe something. What's it to describe? It's to describe the fact that in Golus, we can have this weird, nonsensical experience where seemingly we're like completely confused. One moment we're davening and we seemingly mean it. We're into our davening. We're thinking about Hashem. And like the next minute, we're running after all types of fleeting physical things that are totally irrelevant. Like, what's going on here? So that's why Golus is dreamlike, because two things that don't really go together end up going together, even though they don't. It's nonsensical that they go together, and that's what's dreamlike about Golus, that we can be in a situation. I mean, in some ways, that's the definition of Golus. Golus isn't just the socio-political displacement of our people. It's. I mean, that's one of the symptoms of it. But the primary Golus, like the Rebbe said, is the Golus pnimi, the internal Golus, the metaphysical condition of our operating system having some seriously corrupted files, and Geula is clearing that all out and thinking straight again, which is why personal Geula is something that we can pursue and must pursue even before the advent of Mashiach on the world stage. At any rate, the mimer that Rebbe is citing is about this condition where a person can sort of flip-flop in this incongruous way between davening and thinking about other things, and you should just understand that that's one of the chief symptoms of Golus. Okay, so that's the third source, right? So the first one is Chof Ches in Likutei Amorim, which the Rebbe doesn't give the source, but maybe it's so clear that the Rebbe assumes that he knows it. The Rebbe gives the quote, the words. The other source is Chof Hei of Igros Kodesh, and the third is Dibra Maschel Shir Amarlis from Torah. All three sources from the Alter Rebbe, by the way. They're all from the Alter Rebbe. Ubechama Mekemes, and in many places, meaning there are many other places in Chassidus that also talk about this. Okay. Someone says in the chat, where can I find a copy of the map of Tanya? It's currently unavailable on Amazon. I don't know. Talk to Kahos. Kahos is the only one who can print the Tanya map, and it goes out of print, and they print more. Talk to Kahos. Ask them to print more. Okay. Sha'al pimasha kosuv b'chola now poshet she'adarabah. According to everything you've written to me, it is clear that the opposite is true, meaning your conclusion is the opposite of the truth. Let me flip the page. Your situation should actually rouse you to be more dedicated. Meaning it shouldn't discourage you, it should actually encourage you. For the, as we explained, what those sources say. It doesn't mean that what you're doing isn't working. To the contrary, it means that you are making progress, and that's why it's meeting resistance. So this shouldn't discourage you. To the contrary, it should encourage you. So going back to the beginning of the Rebbe's letter, that I was saying, even if I'm going to agree with your report of the facts, and even I'm going to agree with your interpretation of the facts, I cannot agree with your conclusion, because your conclusion is that you should feel discouraged. But I'm telling you that everything you've told me to the contrary should make you encouraged, because you should realize that what you're doing is working. Allah. However, it is known that in order to see it through, to actually, you should be encouraged to continue the Avodah, but to continue it and to reach your goal is going to require divine assistance, and more divine assistance than in other matters. We need divine assistance for everything, but especially when it comes to Avodah and this type of Avodah, we need a lot of Siyata D'Shmaya. Okay, so no problem. How am I going to get that divine assistance? The Rebbe is even going to tell you how to do that. But the advice for this, how to get that extra boost that you're going to need in order to continue on the path that you're on, which is a good path and you're successful. You just got to keep going. And how are you going to get that boost of siyata dishmaya? B'nesinas tzedakah l'hazulas, by giving tzedakah to someone else. What does tzedakah mean? I mean, a yeshiva bacher, how much money does he have? Doesn't mean money. Pirush, the explanation. L'korvim yeser l'teira mitzvesel l'pnimias ha'teira sh'oz makrivim milamayla gam makorvim milamayla gam oisai. You should be makarev another Jew to Torah and to mitzvahs and to pnimius Torah, and then from above you will have a reciprocal being drawn near. Like if you draw someone else near, so then that will trigger that from on high you will be drawn near to Hashem. And presumably this even means other bachram in yeshiva. I mean, who else is this person interacting with? Could mean Mivtzayim, but this is 1956, so I'm not sure how much that's referring to that. And your back and forth, shakla means like in Talmudic argument, where there's the pros and the cons and the argument and the counter argument, the refutation and the counter refutation. So the fact that you're going back and forth in your mind, Geroin b'Torah mitzvahs, is actually causing you to have a deficiency in Torah mitzvahs. It's not just a waste of time. Much worse. It's actually damaging. There's a difference between non-productive and counterproductive. A waste of time is non-productive. It's very sad, but it's you're not accomplishing anything, but you're not doing any harm. The Rebbe is saying this is actually doing harm. Okay? And it's a very interesting concept, because in Chassidus we do have a concept called cheshbon hanefesh, or cheshbon tzedek, which means a soul account, a moral inventory, where you're supposed to take stock and you're supposed to think about what you're doing, not just what you're doing wrong, also what you're doing right, but you're supposed to take a look at yourself. There is such a concept in Chassidus, but there's also an approach, and the Rebbe speaks about this in many places, that, sometimes just too much analysis, I guess, what do they call it? The analysis paralysis. Too much self-reflection is actually counterproductive. Not just unproductive, but counterproductive. It's actually setting you back. It's causing damage, God forbid. There's a famous, there's a mimer, Laisia Mishakela, from the Rebbe, about talks about using all of your days, using all of your time productively. And there's a vort there about the famous Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, that as he's passing away, he says, I see two paths in front of me, one to Gan Eden, one to Gehenna. I don't know. I don't know which way they're bringing me. And the commentaries spend much time and now analyzing what this could mean, why a great tzaddik, a great leader of the Jewish people like Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai would have any doubt if he were headed this way or that way. The Rebbe says a very novel interpretation. I haven't seen this anywhere else. And in fact, whenever I've shared this vort outside of Chabad circles, I found it to be surprisingly triggering. I didn't know. I didn't think it was fighting words, but I actually found people get upset when I share this. Is that he didn't know which way he was going because he was so busy serving Hashem his entire life. He hadn't yet taken stock. Like a person who runs a business, you don't take inventory in the middle of the business day or you're interrupting business. You take inventory when you're closed, and not when you're open, not when there's customers. So Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai was so busy serving Hashem his whole life, he actually hadn't taken inventory yet. At the very end of his life, he was like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should do a little retrospective over here, take a little stock. And because he hadn't done it yet, and so he wasn't sure yet. He wasn't sure what the balance sheet was going to show. He didn't know which direction they were going to take him. Yeah, so the Rebbe tells this bacher, please stop with the self-analysis, which is why we call this letter less self-analysis, more action. Okay. You should force yourself I like that word. You should force yourself to keep the schedule, the learning schedule of the yeshiva, and influence your friends to do the same. You notice that a lot with the Rebbe. Like somebody who's weak in a certain area, and the Rebbe doesn't just tell them to become adequate in that area, but actually encourages them to become the role model. We had a similar Eitzah. The Rebbe giving similar advice in another letter we learned this year. Al yedei dibure, through your speech. But more so, through being a living example. You should be a living example of how a tamim means a student of Timchit, means the Lubavitcher yeshivas. You should be a living example of how a tamim should conduct himself. And then again, strengthen your efforts in drawing others close as well. Okay. And when the Yetzer Hara, it's very interesting. The Rebbe doesn't say if, the Rebbe says when. When the Yetzer Hara will come to you and try to draw you into debate. It's almost like the Rebbe is saying, like, get ready, because the Yetzer Hara will try to draw you into debate. And the Rebbe just told him, stop with the Shaklavataria. Stop with the back and forth analysis. It's not productive. And in fact, it's setting you back. It's causing damage. God forbid. So when the Yetzer Hara comes to you and says, hey, let's analyze a little, because it seems so innocuous, right? It's not the Yetzer Hara coming and saying, let's sin, because then you would know to tell him, hey, get out of here. No, the Yetzer Hara comes to you and says, hey, let's do a little cheshbon nefesh. Let's do a little inventory. Let's just see what we could be doing better. Let's just analyze a little bit. Seems very benign, right? So the Rebbe is saying, do not take the bait. Do not take the bait. Okay. So when the Yetzer Hara comes to you and tries to draw you back into this analysis, Hine, la yakonos b'chol zeh, do not enter into it with him. And the Rebbe gives him a script, what he can tell the Yetzer Hara. V'yavar eloi shuhu avid. Tell the Yetzer Hara, I'm sorry, I am an avid. An avid means a servant. I'm an avid. Please, I don't know, I just work here. Right? Literally, I'm just the avid, I'm just the servant. Please, do not ask me questions. I don't get paid to think. Please go away. Leave me alone. I'm just a servant. Even an Evid Kanani who is happy to be, Hafkeda means in his, how do they translate it over here? By nature, prefers to live without restraint. Yeah. Okay, let me explain. This is a common expression. An Evid Kanani. Okay, let's back up. There's Evid Kanani and Evid Ivri. Hebrew manservant, Canaanite manservant. Those are literal designations in halacha. They're also in Chassidus 2 levels of Avodas Hashem. Evid, Meloshin, Avodah. So, the Eved Ivri is one who serves Hashem with more gishmak. He actually appreciates, he's happy to serve the master. Eved Kanani means he's forcing himself. So it's a lower level. In some ways, it's a higher level also, but he's forcing himself. And if he had his druthers, he would actually, he would like to not serve, because he doesn't value the service unto itself, but he has to force himself to do it. So the Rebbe says, and even if you will be a lower level servant, Avid Kanani, who is actually happy to be lawless, without restraint, not having rules, and you're just forced, compelled beyond your will to have to work. Okay, so be it, even if it's the lower level Avid. But you tell the Yetzer Hara, I can't talk to you. I am the Avid over here. I'm just the servant. Yeah. Hine. Ein loy rege pnuya linyanov Milvad Avedas Ha'adain. I don't have time for this. I only have time to serve my master. I'm not a free man. I'm sorry. It is not my prerogative here to have this discussion with you. I'm busy. When am I going to be free? Never. I'm always busy. I'm never not busy. My job is I serve the master. I can't talk with you. I'm sorry. Like when the telemarketers call, who makes the decisions about your long distance phone company? Not me. Well, when will they be here? I don't know. It's not me. You can see when's the last time I picked up a phone that I don't know. And I don't have free time to even discuss and evaluate my service of the master. I'm so busy serving the master, I don't have time to analyze my service of the master. Similar to what I was saying before about the Rebbe's Vort about Rabbi Yechim and Zakkai. He was so busy serving Hashem, he didn't have time to analyze his service of Hashem. Let's keep going. Someone says in the chat, get out of the debating society. That's right. Okay, I love this part. This is the last part of the letter. I laughed out loud. I ALOL'd. I actually laughed out loud when I read this. Regarding what you ask, how to set up your learning and your schedule. Okay, I'm just going to pause. You guys want to guess? You just want to guess, maybe write in the chat what you're going to... This yeshiva bacha writes to the Rebbe, and he complains he's having distracting thoughts during davening. He's feeling bad about it. Feels like his whole service of Hashem is worthless. Okay, and then he says, by the way, what should I be learning, and how should I set up my schedule? How should I set up my limud and my zman, my learning and my schedule? You want to just guess what the Rebbe tells him? Okay, I'm going to read it to you. Let's see. Nimtzahu b'yeshivas Temcha Temimim. You are presently found in the yeshiva called Temcha Temimim. That shouldn't just be physical, like you're physically there. That's your physical location. You should actually be there, like present. Like we say today, like to be fully present. Like don't just physically be located there, but really be there, right? Hainu poshet as medar folgen ton vies kumtais by dem rosh mesifta v'amashpia shel yeshiva. So it comes, he says in Yiddish, comes out, you should just listen to whatever the teachers tell you to do. This Bacher is writing the Rebbe, what should I be learning? How should I spend my time? What schedule should I give myself? And then I was like, you're in Temcha Temimim. There's a say there over there. Whatever the yeshiva is learning, that's what you should be learning. Okay. ALOL'd. With blessings for good news in all of the above mentioned. Oh, I love this part. And it's already known what the sages of blessed memory have said. Kol de poshet maletve. All right. Literally, it means the straighter is better. It's a reference to a Gemara Rosh Hashanah. There's a machlokes. There are different types of shofars. A shofar, like a ram's horn. So should it be a straighter one or a more curvy one? So it's a machlokes, like a lot of things. But here's the difference. One Tana says it should be a straighter one on Rosh Hashanah and a curvier one on Yom Kippur. And one says the opposite. It should be curvier on Rosh Hashanah and straighter on Yom Kippur. And curved represents subduing yourself, like bending yourself to the will of Hashem. Straight represents straightening out your das, straightening out your mind, clearing out your head to serve Hashem. Okay, so the Rebbe quotes this or paraphrases or uses this language here, kol de poshet maletve, whatever is, poshet means straight, but also poshet means simple. Poshut is simple. So whatever's more simple, or if you want to have an English word that uses straight to mean simple, You could say straightforward, and that's what the translators here used in our translation. Good job, translation team. Whatever is more straightforward is the better path, meaning don't complicate it. I was reading this and I was thinking to myself, I know today a lot of people who are into logic, they use this term, Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is the best explanation, just from a logical perspective, that whatever model has the least moving parts, whatever has the least amount of variables and different factors, that's probably the best explanation for a phenomenon. I was thinking to myself, like, lahavdil, this is like the Occam's razor of Avodah. Like, what Avodah, what path to serving Hashem is the preferable one? Whatever is the simplest. Whatever is the simplest. I was just talking to a dear friend of mine tonight, Rabbi Dr. David Schechter, who is a great friend of our family and keeps me healthier, tries to at least, with Hashem's help. And I was just talking to him tonight, and he told me that he heard from Rabbi Dr. Abraham J. Tversky, Olav Shalom, years ago. He told him, David, if you're finding it difficult to serve Hashem, you're probably not doing it right. Meaning, serving Hashem is fairly straightforward. We complicate it. We make it confusing. But Avodah is fairly straightforward. And that's what the whole theme here is. When the Yetzer Hara will come to you in a guise of trying to improve your Avodah, but really he's just complicating things and distracting you, you got to tell him, leave me alone. I'm an Eved. I don't have time for these confusing discussions. I have to just keep it simple and focus on serving the Master. Okay. All right. That's been fun. We'll see you tomorrow night. Mitzvah Hashem, 10 p.m. approximately, thereabouts. And, yeah, see you tomorrow night.